yes, her formal role is over. But the idea that she's not going to play a role in the rooms behind the scenes with the managers who are going to be making their argument here in the coming days and weeks it's simply ludicrous. She's going to be in all those meetings. She's going to be helping kind of direct where they are directing their thinking, their resources, how they decide to lay out this case. And she's going to be working very closely with Adam Schiff on this. And of course, the big question that's looming over all of this is how is it going to play out in the Senate with witnesses and new evidence. It's unlikely that we're going to get answers to those questions for some days, if not weeks now. Hallie.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? As I've said over and over again, every day that we're involved in this impeachment is a sad day for America, and yesterday was one when we were given no choice but to send to the Senate 2 articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, the President of the United States. The President necessitated this by his abuse of power and his obstruction of Congress, and his actions, which undermined our national security, violated his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, and jeopardized the integrity of our elections. Every day, new incriminating information comes forward. You're well aware of the hearing last night. I think that only speaks very clearly to the need for the Senate to enter the documentation into their discussion. Today, and this is the day, the Government Accounting Office confirmed that the President's actions at the center of our impeachment articles, withholding congressionally approved military aid from Ukraine, was illegal. And these are their words. These are the words of the GAO. Faithful execution of the law does not permit the President to substitute his own policy priorities for those that Congress has enacted into law. The Office of Management and Budget withheld funds for a policy reason which is not permitted under the Empowerment Control Act. The withholding was not a programmatic delay. Therefore, we conclude that OMB violated the Empowerment Act. The OMB, the White House, the administration broke the law. They say we conclude that they violated the Empowerment Control Act. This reinforces, again, the need for documents and eyewitnesses in the Senate. When I was in grade school, there was a sign on the wall in one of the corridors. It said, "What a tangled web we weave. when we first practice to deceive. You see this more and more and more in all of this tangled web to deceive that the administration is engaged in. Also on appropriations matters, I'm very sad about what has happened in Puerto Rico. We pray for the families who have lost loved ones and injury to others. The appropriation, it's unacceptable that the administration illegally withheld for over a year the federal assistance that Congress appropriated and that Puerto Rico needs. We're concerned that the administration may be looking for excuses to create unnecessary obstacles to the timely flow of assistance based on reports of new restrictions on the aid. We hope that it can be interpreted more loosely, but we're concerned. We hope that the president will soon sign a major disaster declaration for earthquake recovery. He has signed an emergency one, but he needs the major disaster. Our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico, American citizens all, need assistance now. That's why today the House will release the text of a bill to provide supplemental assistance for earthquake relief to be taken up soon. Again, we pray for the families of the 2 Americans who died in the disaster-related tragedies, but we're concerned about those who are affected physically and also traumatically by the earthquake and by the uncertainty that we are not there for them. As you know, in the election, Democrats ran on a platform of for the people. For the people, we would lower the cost of health care by lowering the cost of prescription drugs. We would lower health care costs, bigger paychecks, by building the infrastructure of America in a green, resilient way, and that we would have cleaner government. We passed H.R. 1 to do that. In terms of lower health care costs, right before Christmas, we passed H.R. 3 to lower the cost of prescription drugs. It's been widely and popularly received throughout the country. We're very proud of it. It's just, again, another bill sitting on the desk of the Grim Reaper on the Senate side. 400 bills have we passed, 275 of them bipartisan, sitting on the leader's desk. One of them is about gun violence, and that's passing that bill and having it signed into law would save lives. But that's just one of many. But in terms of prescription drug, they have a bill, we have a bill, let's pass them and go to conference. But they're not only not taking up our bill, they're not even taking up their bill. Increasing paychecks, when we come back that first week, we will be rolling out our infrastructure legislation, the work of more than one committee, but led by the Infrastructure and Transportation Committee, Peter DeFazio. It's pretty exciting. It's something we talked about during the campaign. It's something the president talked about as a priority during the campaign. We thought we would be able to move in a positive way on this. So far, they have not come on board. However, we've decided now we'll just have to go forward. And we do believe that now with the passage of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement that they might be interested in cooperating in other ways. And on that score, I'm pleased that the Senate is going to be taking up the bill this morning. I think it will be passed, and then we'll sign it and send it over. The legislators will sign it and send it over to the president. What is amusing to me is that the leader over there was saying, if he doesn't send me the articles of impeachment, I'm going to pass the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Okay, that's good news for all of us because we view that as a jobs bill. I want to commend Richie Neal and our members, our 8 members who were part of our task force to make sure we changed the bill that they sent us. We could never have supported the treaty that they had sent us. But what we sent back to them in terms of again, enforcement, but enforcement in labor rights, environmental protections, and eliminating their giveaway to pharma that was in the bill, among other improvements that we made on the bill. So we're pleased we had a big, strong vote in the House, and glad that because we didn't send over it gave them enough time to bring it up this morning because the Chief Justice won't be able to be there until this afternoon. And when we talk about health care, as I mentioned yesterday, we had a beautiful ceremony yesterday. I don't know if any of you saw it, giving a gold medal to Stephen Gleason, former NFL New Orleans Saints football star, and he's been diagnosed with ALS in the very now late stages of it, but in the course of meeting his challenge, he helped do so many things for other people with ALS or neuromuscular diagnoses. It was a beautiful thing, but it points out that all of us are one diagnosis. Our families are one diagnosis, one phone call, one accident away from needing really affordable, quality health care. We all need it every day, but this catastrophic, so very important. And that is, again, we're particularly proud of the progress that we've made. Now, what we're up against is the president on every front in the Congress and in the courts is trying to undo the Affordable Care Act, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. And right now, he goes out and says he's the protector. I mean, where is it again? What a web we weave when we practice to deceive. How can he possibly go out there and saying he's protecting the pre-existing condition benefit and things like that when he is in court trying to overturn it? Instead of the Justice Department protecting the law of the land, which is their responsibility, they're trying to overturn the law of the land in the courts. So that's their fight, and we have asked for expedited decision from the court so that the public will know what we are up against. They have said, take it slow, take it slow, take it slow. But this is a very, very important issue to the health of the American people, but also the financial help of the American people. So we were very proud when we passed the Elijah Cummings H.R. 3, lower drug costs now. That is something so remarkable, so transformative in terms of meeting the needs of America's working families, but also taking the money saved from Big Pharma's ripoff and greed and using it to transform Medicare in a way that it hasn't been transformed since its inception, and that is to take about $500 billion out of pharma profits and use it for dental, hearing, and visual benefits. So we're very excited about that. And again, on this pre-existing conditions, about 130 million families are affected by pre-existing conditions, and President is in court trying to overturn that. So no longer will that benefit be available to people, and no longer will the benefit of lifetime limits or annual limits on it. And the list goes on and on about that. When we come back, we'll also be addressing surprise billing issue. That's one of the. We come back, we'll have the first week, we'll have rollout infrastructure probably on the floor, and this will be all up to the Democratic leader, but he has told our caucus that we expect in the first week we would be bringing up the Ro Khanna bill, which says no funds for war in Iran unless Congress would approve that, and also Barbara Lee's legislation, which repeals the antique authorization of the use of military force, the AUMF, that has been used for justification that is beyond its scope. So there we are. Again, we're very pleased with, since we returned from Christmas, we passed the PFAS, that is to clean up toxic chemicals. These are forever chemicals. You can practically not get away with them, get rid of them, but it impacts millions of families, and many of them are on our own military bases who are affected by these chemicals that are in the water supply. And they serve our country, these people, and their families are negatively affected. And I've met with some of the families, and it's such a tragedy. It's such a tragedy. Then we passed a War Powers Resolution to limit the president's military actions in Iran, and soon the Senate will be taking up Senator Kane's version of that. Then we passed the CRA to reverse an administration rule denying debt relief to students defrauded by predatory institutions. It's just a stunning thing. These kids, they incurred debt. The institutions have disappeared. Their degrees are not worth what they have borrowed money to obtain, and this administration wants to protect not the students, but the predatory lenders. So with that, happy to take any questions you may have.
Madam Speaker,
No, you were last question yesterday. Nancy, go.
Madam Speaker, what's your response to Senate Republicans who say they shouldn't have to consider new evidence like the Parnas material because it wasn't included in the House investigation?
No, they're afraid of the truth. The American people have seen the allegations, and they're allegations. We need to see more evidence that would be contained in the documentation. This is just another avoiding of the facts and the truth on their part. They don't want to see documents. They don't want to hear from eyewitnesses. They want to ignore anything new that comes up. We saw a strong case, and infallible, undeniable case for the impeachment of the president. So that no future president would ever think that she or he could get away with what President Trump has been getting away with, in his view. Any further evidence should not be avoided. And now the ball is in the court of the Senate. Public opinion will have a lot to do with this. Since we passed ours and then sent it over, public opinion has grown enormously for seeing witnesses, eyewitnesses, and documentation. And they'll just have to contend with the public on that. Yes, sir?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A question on the role of Facebook, if I may. In a new New York Times editorial board interview, Mayor Pete Buttigieg is questioning the influence of Facebook chief Mark Zuckerberg. I know Facebook is in your congressional district, Fremont Street, if I'm not mistaken. Do you similarly feel as if Mr. Zuckerberg or other tech executives have too much power?
I think that they're different. The Facebook business model is strictly to make money. They don't care about the impact on children. They don't care about truth. They don't care about where this is all coming from. And they have said, even if they know it's not true, they will print it. I think that they have been very abusive of the great opportunity that technology has given them. My thought about them is all they want are their tax cuts and no antitrust action against them. And they schmooze this administration in that regard because so far that's what they have received. But I think that what they have said very blatantly, very clearly, that they intend to be accomplices for misleading the American people with money from God knows where. They didn't even check on the money from Russia in the last election. They never even thought they should. So they have been very irresponsible. And again, as you say, these are people that we've known and worked with over time. Actually, Facebook's down the peninsula, but they do have an office in my district, and I think their behavior is shameful. Yes, ma'am.
Following up on Nancy's question, Senator Susan Collins called the timing of...
I'm Senator who?
Senator Collins
Awesome.
said the timing of the Parnas documents was perplexing to her. Can you lay out why these documents are being released now and whether more may be coming?
Well, they were released now because that's when they were obtained. And then his going further into public interviews on that is very compelling. But again, why would they not want to find out? Under other circumstances, if somebody like Parnas came forward and there was evidence, there was reason to believe that there was some of that was factual, there would be a special prosecutor appointed. Does anybody think that the rogue attorney general is going to appoint a special prosecutor? No, because he's implicated in all of this. This is an example of all of the president's henchmen, and I hope that the senators do not become part of the president's henchmen.
Did you really believe, though, that Parnas...
Wait a minute, somebody new. You can't get every question every time. Yes, ma'am. Cheryl.
Madam Speaker, given the Parnas interviews last night,
Yes.
do you believe that Bev Parnas should be a witness at the trial? And if so, do you believe he would be credible?
Well, credible it relates to the documents and the rest. It certainly raises questions. But now I've appointed the managers who've haunted me, tracked me. Who are they? When are they coming? Well, they're here, and they have a responsibility, and I'm very confident in how they will proceed. And again, there seems to be documentation that would validate what Parnas is saying, but that all has to be subjected to scrutiny.
But Parnas is under federal indictment, so would he be a credible witness?
He'd be a credible witness if what he's testifying to relates to the issue at hand, the president's behavior. But again, there's a process for how you go forward with witnesses, and that's not done in the basement of the Congressional Visitors Center, but in among those who are making those decisions about how to go forward. And I'm so proud of our managers. Our members have been so positive about it. And, this is not without risk. They're going to give a great deal of their intellect as an intellectual resource, as patriots, giving a great deal of time, of course, but also they're courageous. Let me just say it that way. They're courageous in doing that.
You said the
No.
Attorney General is implicated.
Excuse me,
What
I'm
evidence do you have that the
excuse me.
Attorney General is implicated in this?
I told you I wasn't answering it. You had a question yesterday.
Why can't you just say the Attorney General is implicated?
When I said that the Attorney General was implicated, is I said this testimony implicated the rogue Attorney General, who has been the puppet of the, well, I don't know who's the puppet, Trump or the Attorney General, but this is not. He says, this is my Attorney General, this is my Department of Justice. Really? So in any case, it's not a question of saying what proof. It says what allegations have been made. And that has to be subjected to scrutiny as to how we go forward. But it should not be ignored in the context of other events that have happened that would substantiate some of that. Yes, ma'am.
Last question.
I want to have more women today. Yeah.
Do you think it would be appropriate to delay the State of the Union until after the impeachment trial has concluded?
Well, it's up to the president. I mean, the president has some options. He can come that day, and we are prepared to welcome him that day. He could send a printed copy, which was for a long time the tradition. The president would send a copy of his State of the Union address, or he could ask us to postpone it if, in fact, he wants to have it after all of this is resolved. But the timing of the investigation, of the trial of the president for obstructing Congress and abuse of power should not be hastened because of a speech he wants to make to the Congress of the United States. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're saying heads up, he's in the green room.
Yeah. So at 12, he'll actually post shortly after 12. Okay, and then I'll kind of update with any color. Okay. Then what I might do is run, so I'm kind of in the basement of my house right now. They run over to the Capitol. There's the Senate side, get in place the Senate.
Heads up.
Chad's not here to tell me why this morning after. All right, good morning, y'all. Where is Chad? I want to congratulate him on his new job. or his promotion. Huh?
We'll tell him for you.
Well, tell him we congratulate him on the promotion. To him, he gets promoted and he stops coming. What's up with that? Where's the love? I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's sad. All right. Today we had a conference, and Republicans in the House and across the country received some very good news from our conference chair this morning with Liz Cheney, announcing that she will remain on our leadership team and remain in the House. She is a fighter, and she is a powerful voice for conservatives, and is the type of person we need to help us lead the charge to win back the majority. Liz, I speak on behalf of our members when I say thank you for your commitment to the Republican Party and to the vision that will truly help propel Americans across the country for a better future. What you need to read into it is there a real chance that we're going to win the majority. The idea that our conference chair had an opportunity to go to the Senate, and she chose to stay here to help us win the majority. I thank her for that. Now let me shift to what we saw yesterday in this chamber. A taxpayer-funded campaign stunt for the Democrats. They took Americans' hard-earned dollars and funneled them into years of worthless or baseless investigation meant to discredit this president. And after 3 years with zero facts to back up their accusations, Democrats rammed impeachment down the throats of the American people. If this was real, if this was really as serious as they claimed this would be, yesterday was no cause for celebration. But in that case, Democrats did what you would expect in a campaign event. Posed for pictures, smiled, handed out gifts to one another, and Speaker Pelosi even fist pumped on the House floor during what should have been a serious debate. And I'm sure most of you got a pin as well. Their behavior is disgusting and appalling. Every person in this country should be enraged at the fraud, the waste, and abuse they have seen from Democrats in this majority. Millions of dollars spent, countless hours lost on their unrelenting hatred towards this president. It is not enough that Speaker Pelosi and her colleagues have been determined to embarrass the president in our own country, but there is a worse trend that has taken on. Whenever the president is helping to strengthen our country on the international stage, Democrats are trying to bring him down on Capitol Hill. Let me point that out to you. September 24th, the president was at the United Nations General Assembly. Speaker Pelosi had her press conference to announce impeachment. December 4th, the president was at the NATO leaders' meeting. Democrats hold a hearing with law professors. And yesterday, as the president was on Pennsylvania Avenue signing phase 1 of a trade deal with China, Speaker Pelosi, after needless waiting for a month, decides that it is a day she'll send articles of impeachment to the Senate. Their sabotage has failed. Their juvenile behavior has only succeeded in showing the American people the sharp contrast between this failed majority and what real leadership looks like. It was a progress on the China trade deal yesterday, and today the Senate is expected to pass the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. Promises made, promises kept. Most people did not think this president could accomplish this. He did something others could not. He first promised the American public he would do it, and he carried it out. He carried it out at the same time that this majority spent their entire time trying to investigate him. He never let that get him down. I'll guarantee you this. When we are back in the majority, we will take our responsibilities seriously, and we will stay committed to helping you, the American people. Open for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Republicans have maintained that the president and the White House has done nothing wrong. There was no crimes committed, no laws broken. The GAO just came out with a report this morning saying the White House did break laws in freezing the aid to Ukraine. So do you still maintain that this was a sham investigation, that there was nothing wrong, and Democrats had no right to even look into this?
100% yes. OMB's response was that they disagreed with the GAO's opinion. OMB uses it apportionately authority to ensure taxpayer dollars are properly spent. These are taxpayer dollars going to another country that people believe there was corruption with the new administration. I think it was the rightful thing to do. Yes.
Yesterday, Lev Parnas, Rudy Giuliani's associate, said that President Trump was fully aware of the efforts on his behalf to dig up damaging information. And I'm wondering if this changes your view in any way, or if you have any reaction to the fact that he has said not only was Mr. Trump aware, but the Attorney General was read in, that Mike Pence was involved, everybody was involved.
Not at all. This man lacks all credibility. This is the same pattern that I've seen before with Cohen, with Aviati, The media tries to build something into it, just to show that he went on and the nature of what he spoke. This is the same man that said Devin Nunes was in Vienna when he was not. So he doesn't have any credibility. Yes, ma'am.
Does Parnas's allegations though put new pressure on to have more witnesses come forward and be part of the Senate trial to determine whether or not they're telling the truth about these things and to put those things to the Senate jurors?
Not at all. You have the transcript of the phone call. That's all you need. You have the phone call. That's what they're based their impeachment on. Even though their managers had decided on impeachment, you have Hakeem, who voted for it 2 years almost to this date, a year before the phone call even took place. You have Adam Schiff, who met with the whistleblower but lied, said he had proof beyond circumstantial. We found that was not to be true. So no, you don't need anything more. They made their case for impeachment. The Senate role now is to judge it. And that's what they'll go through. Yes, ma'am.
Congressman. McCarthy, do you think that State of the Union should be delayed until the trial is completed at this point?
Well, the trial could be completed by then, how weak the case is itself, but I'd leave that up to the president. I think it would be appropriate for him to be able to speak to the American public when they can all watch and listen. Every time he's given a State of the Union, walking away, the country feels stronger. The country has a better understanding of where they're going, more hope, more opportunity. And I want to make sure he's given that opportunity. Unfortunately, the way that the Speaker has held her papers, when it was such an urgency, when she got nothing in the process of holding it, but really harming any senator that's running for president. They're going to be sitting in their chair for 6 days with no phones, can't campaign. I'm not sure if Nancy Pelosi was waiting on all those pins to arrive, to ordering them. I'm not sure why she held the papers, because she achieved nothing by it. Any other questions?
Congressman,
Yes, sir.
a week ago today, you told
This
me-
exact day?
This exact
All
day,
right, a
at
week ago,
this
yes.
Press conference, you told me that about Lev Parnas. I guess I met him one time. We found out that that's not true. And my question is, why do you need to guess how many times you met Lev Parnas? A big ticket donor.
'Cause I don't know him.
Let me finish my question.
Oh,
sir.
please finish it.
Along with Igor Fruman, these are big
Who's that?
ticket donors who, wasn't there an investigation? Didn't your team look into this? Will there be an audit that is released to the public and the press?
I don't know how much money he gave me when it came out in the press. If you'll look, I've been pretty successful. I have raised more money than as the leader of the Republican Party, as the speakers of the Republican Party before me. People come to events and they take photos with me. This seems to be the case. I saw a photo that he had on there that he actually walked up to me at the inaugural. If you see, he put his hand around me and snapped a picture, like hundreds of thousands of other people did as well. That seems to be of interest to you. When I found out that this individual had given money to take back, or I don't know if it's protect the house, it was given away to charity. I don't know what more you need by that. I know because you come back every week with the same question. I'm not sure it changed.
Every day, every week, you avoid answering it completely.
Okay, let's be honest and fair, okay? You just said a week ago, you asked me the question, I answered. Now I answered the same question again. We can do this each and every week, but the facts don't change. Last week when you asked me the question, the money he provided was sent to. Do I get an answer as well? Because you did too. Okay.
Can I ask the question?
Once you let me answer. Last week when you asked me the question, it was the same facts that it was this week.
Yes, but the answer you gave me, Congressman, was not true.
No, it's not.
My question is.
Last question.
Thank you. My question is, given that these big ticket donors who donated $100,000 to protect the house, more than $100,000 to protect the house, will your team audit what happened and, given the different answers, and make that audit available to the American people?
That we gave the money away? It already shows that it does.
What happened, how many times you met him, what the nature of what happened. Because you said, I guess I met him one time. Can you look into it and just release the findings of whatever you look into, whatever you find?
Okay, let me release everything I know and everything I find.
About Mr. Parnas, a central figure in the impeachment investigation.
Okay, you done with your question?
Yes.
All right, let me be very clear to you. It's the exact same answer you've had every other week that you've ever asked me. I do not know the man. He came to a fundraiser and he provided me money. I learned from the media that he provided money to a fund. A learning of that information, we gave that to charity. I think that'll answer the same question, and if you come back next week, you'll get the same answer. All have a nice week.